Now, I gotta bully Dave Meltzer every once in a while, so we're gonna listen to Dave Meltzer with his absolutely dishonest appraisal of Fenix and WWE. It is, of course, dishonest, but we gotta listen to it. We're gonna talk about it. The reason we talk about Meltzer so much, I said it in the last time I talked about him, is because he's the kingmaker. He is the guy who sets the trends and what people say online. A lot of that comes from Dave Meltzer. So we have to deal with the head of the snake. You can't just argue with people who are repeating what this man says. This is what this man says. We're going to talk about it because I want to talk about Fenix myself, and I want to talk about his appraisal of all of these luchadors who jump ship to WWE. And let's see what he says.
I thought that when they left, that Penta probably would do better in WWE and that Fenix would not do better. And I thought that, it probably was the right move if those two, I mean, they're brothers and they want to be, and they're close and everything. But I thought, it was like Penta go, seriously, you're better off in WWE. But, don't push to go together. And Fenix was just so gung-ho and they're brothers and everything. But I thought that Fenix was making the wrong move. And now I think that it's, more and more clear that he did. And Dragon Lee as well. I think I'm not as sure with Dragon Lee because, it's like Dragon Lee, if he was in AEW, he would be in the LFI, with Dralistico and Roosh, because those are his brothers. He'd be in that group. And that group is just kind of there, just kind of like Dragon Lee in the LWO is just kind of there. So they're, sometimes I'll go look at how great Bandito's doing compared to Dragon Lee, because they're similar talents, but, Bandito does have more charisma of the two. But but I think that I'm not as sure about Dragon Lee. I think that Dragon Lee is kind of an even one. So it's still debatable. The jury's not out. But Ray Fenix from day one, I expected this, and I think that has come true. That, was he going to get a big push in AEW? No, but he would be. The difference is that he would be in hellacious matches in AEW, and he's really not in WWE. I thought.
All right, so he he had to take a shot at Dragon Lee as well. I actually forgot that was in there, so I guess we could talk about that too. Ray Fenix, he signed with AEW at the very beginning. Him and Penta were there in 2019. Fenix has wrestled every top guy and lost to every top guy in AEW. He's wrestled Kenny Omega numerous times and lost. He's wrestled to the Young Bucks numerous times and lost. He's wrestled Jon Moxley. He beat Jon Moxley once by accident, but he's lost to Jon Moxley numerous times and lost. He's wrestled to all of these guys numerous times and lost. He basically didn't beat any of them. I think he won one tag team championship the entire time he was there, and he only won one singles title, which again was by accident, and he lost it on his first defense, if I remember correctly, because he wasn't supposed to have it. Before he left, both him and his brother were being demoted to work in Ring of Honor shows. After, years and years of working on Dynamite and pay-per-views and losing, they were eventually demoted to Ring of Honor, Collision, I think even Rampage when that was around. Fenix signed with WWE in early 2024. He has not been in WWE a full year yet. I did a quick look. Ray Fenix actually debuted on my birthday, April 4th, 2025 in WWE. This guy is already over the age of 30. He's like 34 years old. He's done everything that he could possibly do in AEW. There was no forward motion. Meltzer even admitted that part. There was never going to be any forward motion for him. So why should he have stayed? Well, he should have stayed so he could have hellacious matches with the same people he's been wrestling for 4 years already. Oh, he could have gone to Mexico. He's already wrestled all them fucking Mexican guys too. Here's the thing. He's been in WWE 6 months. 6. And we're already burying the guy? Why is people are so quick to jump to conclusions? It's very unfair. And he's starting this whole thing up. And it's a recurring thing, obviously. When somebody rejects AEW and goes to WWE, unless they become world champion almost immediately, anytime they lose to anybody, it was a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. Ha 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 ha, they're losers. They did this for weeks with Mariah May. They continuously abused her online because she left AEW. They did this to Ricky Starks when he left. I forgot who he lost to, but they were making fun of him for that. Of course, they can't make fun of either one of them now. They're both champions in WWE. Of course, they spent a lot of time making fun of Dragon Lee, which is why he took a shot at Dragon Lee. Now, Dragon Lee actually debuted in WWE like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And he won one championship. This is his second. He won a tag team title with AJ Styles, most recently on Raw, but he was a singles champion in NXT before that. So, but his push has been off and on. There's been a lot of weird stuff going on with the LWO and with Rey Mysterio and all that kind of stuff. It would be great if they could just make him do his own thing, let him do his own thing. But it has been up and down for Dragon Lee. But what was Dragon Lee doing in AEW? The last time he was in AEW, he got his mask snatched off and he got beat up by his brothers. That's what they were doing with him, and then he jumped ship to WWE. A lot of this has to do with the connection to Conan. Conan has been the catalyst, obviously, to getting these luchadors into WWE. He obviously was involved with the big title switch where Meltzer and Tony Khan and all these guys believed that they were set up, that when FTR went down to Mexico to drop the AAA tag belts to Dragon Lee and his brother, that it was a WWE plot because he signed his WWE contract on that same night and announced he was leaving, and Conan admitted that he double-crossed AEW. That's why this is happening. Whenever Dave Meltzer does these dishonest appraisals, it's always something political behind it. This is because Conan siphoned Fenix out of AEW, and he siphoned Dragon Lee out of AEW, and Meltzer is like, well, they're not doing as good. Okay, crazy. And the crazy thing is, he mentions Bandito. That at one point in time, Meltzer was calling Fenix the best wrestler in the country and the best wrestler in the world because he could do all these flips. At the same time, he was botching all of this stuff because he was doing it on Dynamite. All right, and he was botching a whole lot of stuff, and he was getting hurt and all that kind of stuff. And he was calling him the best wrestler in the world and all. Bandito was still wrestling at that time. Bandito was in Ring of Honor, the real Ring of Honor, before Tony Khan pulled the rug out from underneath him. The thing is, they got lucky that Bandito actually wanted to be there. Again, Bandito was offered a WWE contract as well. He rejected WWE to join AEW. That's why they're praising him. This is all documented. All right, this is facts. You can look this up. Bandito talked about WWE giving him a car to drive around in, all kind of stuff. But he chose to go work in AEW. And he chose to go work in AEW despite Tony Khan treating him like shit when he was the Ring of Honor World Champion the first time. If you don't know, he was the Ring of Honor World Champion when Tony Khan bought the company, and Tony Khan buried him. He only used Bandito to put the belt on Jonathan Gresham, who he only put the belt on so that he could drop it to an AEW guy. Bandito was just as good then, that was 2022, as he is now. But Tony Khan wouldn't give him the time of day. He got lucky that Bandito wanted to be in AEW. That's the difference here. One guy wanted to be there. The other three guys had been there and didn't want to be there anymore. And maybe they were talked into going to WWE by Conan. That's the difference. Everything else that Meltzer is talking about is way too soon to call. Both Penta and Fenix have not been in WWE that long. I don't know why we're constantly in a rush to discuss what the ceiling is for guys 4 months in, 5 months in. Give it time. Let it breathe. SmackDown is really bad. I mean, it is. It's a suck-ass show. It's a really bad show. But the last time Fenix was allowed to really go out there and cut loose, he had a great match with Sami Zayn. Now, again, there's more to having great matches. There's more to life than having great matches. You want a bigger stage, a bigger platform. Guys stagnate, and that's really the big problem here. There's a lot of those guys stagnated in AEW. They've done everything that they could do. You weren't going to make them main event guys and world champions or anything like that, so why should they stick around? They made money. That's great. But they could make just as much, if not more, in WWE selling masks. So they did. Instead of just saying, well, it ain't looking good, which you could, still a little too soon to say because he's only been in the company for 6 months. But what do we know? What do we know if Fenix is going to be in the same position next year, which he probably will be, knowing Triple H's booking. But we don't know for sure. We got to let these things breathe. But they absolutely were done in AEW. They were cooked. These guys are pretty young and they weren't going much further. So his appraisals are completely unfair and based almost completely on politics. All right. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and be blessed.